G'day, I'm Glenn Morris from the Smart Energy Lab, and I'm here today at the All Energy Conference with Ravi from APsystems. G'day, Ravi.
Good day, my Glenn. How are you?
Good. It's funny that we're actually at neighbouring booths. I'm there and you're here, and you've got the best coffee machine in town when it works.
When it works, yeah.
So, Ravi, tell me about APsystems.
So, Glenn, APsystems, you might know the company by the name APS here in Australia, because we rebranded ourselves in 2016 as APsystems. So it's a company started in Silicon Valley, and our inverters are still designed in US, but they are made in China like every other manufacturer. And we have introduced the new product line, which is the DS3 Series, as you can see behind us, and the QT2 three-phase quad microinverters as well, which we're going to talk about a bit. And so in Australia, I think we are planning to rebrand ourselves and rebuild ourselves, I'll say, as the MLP solution provider. So the best part about APsystems is they are going amazingly well in the European market. We are number one actually in Europe, EMEA market, in LATAM market. We are doing amazing in Brazil when we are talking about specific countries. So Brazil, Mexico, we are doing great. In US, we are number two. Obviously, we all know who number one is. But as a company, I'll say APsystems is achieving milestones, and we plan to achieve the same for the Australian and New Zealand market as well. So I am actually the sales director for Australia and New Zealand, and I'm planning to achieve the same milestones that APsystems is doing overall globally.
Wow, that's a great challenge, and I'm sure you'll rise to it. So,
Hopefully.
Just for my audience, you used a few acronyms there. So, when you say MLPE, what are we talking there?
So that's like module level power electronics. So those are like the microinverters which are currently prevailing in the market. Our biggest competitor right now is Enphase, I'll say, and there are some more MLP providers in the market which are going on in the Australia. But then there was a time when APS used to be like a top-notch solution back in 2012, 2013 when we just started the Australian operations. But due to some regulatory changes, we had to like fall back from the Australian market, and right now when the regulations have changed, as you know, that the ANZ...
I should explain that to my audience. So you may have remembered once upon a time you weren't allowed to go over 350 watts.
Correct.
Oh my gosh. Look, I was actually on the committee that wrote that, and look, that was back in like 2007. We kind of thought a 150 watt panel was pretty big, and maybe we'll get to 200 watts. We never thought we'd be seeing 300, 400, 500 watt panels in our lifetime. So apologies to the industry for putting that silly limit in there. In fact, what we've done now with 5033 is there is no such thing as a microinverter. You basically can be as big as you like. The only requirement is if it's less than 120 volt input, you don't need DC isolator or a disconnection point at the input to the device. So now we're seeing a plethora of high-powered small inverters that are roof-mounted, let's call them that, but everyone calls them microinverters.
Yeah.
Also, you can't, you've got a few other considerations with the design. It's not just the power rating as well, but coming back to the DS3 for a minute now, we're going to look at the other units. You've got a whole range of them.
Yeah.
The question I get from a lot of the public really when I do public speaking is what would you choose, a string inverter or a microinverter? Now give me your pitch. Why would I choose a microinverter?
So for a string inverter, for example, as you know, that string inverter is like a series connection of all those panels. So if one panel is getting shaded or if it fails, then all the other panels which are connected in that particular string will fail. That's not the case with the microinverter. But our inverter is, as you said, it's actually a multi-module inverter rather than a microinverter. So you have two inputs. You can put two modules on, that one. So you can put two modules on those two inputs. So say if one module is underperforming due to any shading reason or any XYZ reason, the other module or the other input will still keep on producing power. So that's one reason why you should go for the microinverters. That's like a bit more towards the technical side, but when we are talking, say, in a layman language, when it comes to the price point, it's not that expensive as well, because I know some of the microinverter solutions, they are like around 3-4 times more than the string inverter solutions. But our solution, it's around only 30 to 35% more in price when we are comparing the price point of, say, a normal string inverter to a multi-module inverter. So,
But you'll be saving on labour cost, because you don't have to go down at the switchboard and find a home for a large string inverter.
Correct.
Put DC isolators, AC isolators, all of that.
So we are just talking about the equipment, but then the labor cost. And as we all know how expensive the labor is here in Australia,
Yes.
it definitely shaves off around 40 to 45% cost.
There's one more thing that the standards require, not just the fact that you're less than 120 volts, but that you're less than 1.5 meter or less from the edge of the panel. And that's the change that made it possible to have products like this, which can have 4 modules connected to it. You put it in the center point, connect the 4 modules adjacent to it, piece of cake. So less equipment that you're installing.
Correct.
That must speed up the time.
Correct. Yeah, it speeds up the time. It lessens the labor cost. Plus, this is just one of the product that we are displaying today, DS3D. So this is for the residential single phase, I'll say properties, but it can be used for commercial as well. But those are like the 2 input channel inverter, and you can put 2 panels in series with on 1 input. So you can put in total 4 modules on 2 inputs and 1 inverter, which is fairly amazing. So 1 inverter and 4 modules, 2 panels in series in both of those input channels.
As long as you stay below 120 volts.
As long as you stay below 120 volts. And the input voltage of this inverter is 112 volts.
Yeah.
So
I mean, panels are like 37, 38 volts. So you're definitely under that.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And we have got like some other DS3 products as well, DS3S, DS3H, DS3L and DS3, which has similar 2 input channels, but then you can put only like 1 modules per one of the channels. So those are like a bit more suitable for the small residential properties, while this one can be a succession of what we used to have, the QS1, if you remember. So
let's go and check those ones out. I know they're on the other side of this wall.
yes, correct. So
Okay.
yeah, let's go on the other side of the wall.
So Ravi, here we are with the DS3 Series that you mentioned before.
Yep.
Tell me about these 2 models.
So DS3S, DS3L, DS3 and DS3H are like the 4 types of DS3 models, which are like pretty favorites, I'll say, among the installers fraternity at the moment, because as you can see, like the outputs range from 625 watts all the way till 960 watts. So even on the DS3S, which is like our smallest inverter, you can go till 415 watt of panel capacity, considering the 33% loading rule in the Australian market. So with the 400 watt panels or 390 watt panels, it's perfectly fine. If you are planning to go like above that, 440, 450 watt panels, you can go with the DS3L, which has been the installer's favorite, I'll say, at this point of time, because most of the times they might have to change the panels due to the availability of the panels as well. So sometimes they have committed 415 watt panels, but then they end up installing 440 watt panels. So if they source the DS3L model, then I think that will be the most feasible model for all the residential installers.
So it's all about the 133% rule.
Correct.
Yeah, I get
Correct.
you. Now, I noticed that this is your AC port,
Yes.
and so you have an AC bus connector that these plug into.
Correct.
So how many modules could you connect onto that AC bus?
So it depends on the different power ratings of
Yep.
the inverter. Starting from DS3S, it starts with 8. So you can connect like 8 microinverters in total. And if you go till 960 watt, which is the DS3H model, you can connect 6 panels, 6 in modules.
Each of these are dual MPPT, so 2 panels, 8 units, so it's 16 panels
16
altogether.
panels, 16
Right.
modules,
So
correct.
you could do a, what?
Pretty much 6.6
6
kilowatt.
So it's just magic.
It is.
For our market, the magic number is 6.6 kilowatts on the roof.
6.6.
Well, actually 6.66 recurring, if you ever get there. So that's great. So you can mix and match these?
You can mix and match this, yeah. So
Yeah.
say for example, if a customer has got like a tricky roof where he can get say 10 panels on the western roof and 2 panels, say for example on the eastern side of the roof, then he can get 2 DS3Ds which can wire 8 panels together, and then 1 DS3L which can wire 2 other panels together, and another DS3L for the eastern side of panels which can wire another 2 panels together. So it's like APsystems solution, DS3 series, but then mixing and matching of all the inverter ranges that we have.
So the connectors are the same between all the
Connectors
models?
are the same.
So the same AC bus?
Yes.
Wow,
Yes.
that's cool. What about three-phase?
So for 3-phase, we have another solution which we are launching,
Let's go
which
and
is
check it
called
out.
the QT2.
Okay.
Let's go there.
So Ravi, this is the QT2. It's got a
Yes.
lot of inputs.
It has got 4 inputs, Glenn. So our DS3 series has got dual inputs. QT2 is the 3-phase microinverter. I think there is no other company other than APsystems which has got like dedicated 3-phase microinverter solution in the market. We are the first one, at least in Australia, that I know of. So yes, it is the 3-phase quad inverter with 4 inputs. So you can have like 4 separate panels wired in one inverter. And the best part is it's 3-phase. So installers don't have to worry about like balancing the phase.
I was thinking that because I'm familiar with 3
Correct.
single-phase inverters onto a 3-phase system, which makes it problematic. You have to do multiples of 3.
Correct.
Yeah.
So if you've got like 10 inverters, then it becomes hard for the installers to balance the phase, because it's like if it's 9 inverters, then 3, 3, 3. But if it's 10, 3, 3, 4, and that one phase will be slightly overloading.
Now, I can see a number on here that gets me excited.
2 kilowatt.
2,000
2
VA
kilowatt.
or 2 kilowatts of unity power factor in a box this small. I remember in the early days, in the old times, a 2 kilowatt inverter weighed about 20 kilos. It was about this big. How did you get a 2 kilowatt inverter into this box?
Technology.
Amazing.
Just one word, I'll say technology, yeah.
So it must be very, very efficient.
It is, yeah. It is 97% efficient according to the Clean Energy Council. So, yeah, amazing product. A boon, I'll say, for the commercial installations and commercial installers.
So the 3-phase one must use a different AC bus cable.
Yes, they have a separate 3-phase bus cables.
And
So
how many of these can you connect in series, or onto the bus, I should say?
So you can actually connect 9, because all the bus cables are like 4 mm bus cables. They are not the 2.5
So that's
mm.
27 modules.
Correct.
Whoa.
Correct.
Okay, I haven't done the maths on that one, but that's quite a big system on one bus cable.
It is,
Yeah.
yeah. So, which is why I'm saying it will be a boon for the commercial installations or the EPC developers or utility scale projects.
And it comes with this handy carry handle.
That's it. you can carry one back at your office.
And of course, this is the mounting system here
Yes,
onto the
that's
rail.
correct, yeah.
I imagine there's some clearance from the panel itself underneath here, a small amount of space.
Yes, but I think we have the earthing spot here as well.
Yes, here.
Here, yeah. There you go.
Oh, great. And is there some indicator light that looks like a little panel here? Is this like a light sensor or?
No, I don't think so. No.
Okay.
No, it's not a light sensor. No.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. So I'm just curious, like if you're looking at this unit, is there an indication it's working, or you rely on the monitoring?
Yes, you rely on the monitoring that's there, but the monitoring part is also very interesting when it comes to the ECUC. So we can walk down to the monitoring part as well if you want, Glenn.
Let's have a look at it.
Let's go.
Okay, cool. So Ravi, this is our monitoring solution.
That's it. This is the monitoring solution, which is called ECUC. So C stands for commercial. So ECU is actually the energy communication unit. This unit here, it sits in the switchboard, and it actually helps monitor the data from the panels, like say panel by panel monitoring, and you can actually set the export limit as well on this one. The best part about the communication of all the APsystems ecosystem is we use Zigbee protocol, which is high range protocol, plus a bit faster than PLC, because I know most of the competitors in the microinverter like say family, they are using PLC, and PLC sometimes get gets a bit more edgy.
Yeah, I
And-
like to say Zigbee's industrial strength Wi-Fi.
Correct.
It's slow, but it punches through walls, and you don't need speed for reporting production data.
Correct.
So this is the Zigbee antenna. This is great, so you can run it. It's an SMA connector by the look of it, so you can extend it up onto a roof.
Correct.
So there's no problem with getting a signal onto these. And this is it says Wi-Fi. So
This is Wi-Fi.
So this is your for your app connecting to your router.
Yes, so we have an app called EMA Manager, which connects through the router and which gives you like panel by panel monitoring. It gives you all the graphs. It gives you the production data daily, monthly, or however you want to fetch it.
Now you said this is the commercial, the C. What about the domestic?
So domestic, we have one more at the back, which is called ECU-R. So the only difference between ECU-C and ECU-R is ECU-R is like a small device, looks
Yes.
like a Wi-Fi.
Yes.
But the only difference is you can't do the export limit, which you can do in ECU-C. So
Right.
some of the other residential customers here in Australia who have got like the DNSP export limitations, they go with ECU-C even though it's a residential property. So we actually launched this product considering we'll use it only on commercial properties, but here in Australia we are using it on residential properties as well because of the export limit.
Now I notice you've got a lot of inputs here. So you've got your AC input. What are the relay?
The relay input, it just comes from the inverter.
So you can control something.
Correct.
Right,
Correct.
so-
And then you have got the production and the grid CTs for the export limit.
So you might have some discretionary loads that you want to control. Is that what the relay is for?
Correct.
All right. Okay. It's got a lot of functionality. I guess if for commercial this is quite big, it'll fit in a switchboard. What about a domestic installation? Would this be in a separate enclosure?
It will be in a separate enclosure, or like the customer can always buy a separate enclosure from their installer and
Right.
they can fix it there. But as I said, if you don't have to do the export limit thing, you can always go with the ECU-R, which is like a small unit, as small as your router or a
Cool.
Wi-Fi router. Yes. So yeah, that's like our product line. We have one more exciting product which like most of our distributors are excited about, which is called the AP storage. So
Really?
I promise that's the last one, Glenn.
You got it here?
Yeah, I've got it here.
Okay. Wow.
Let's walk down to that.
Let's go and check it out. Got so much stuff. So Ravi, this is quite big.
It is quite big. It is called the AP storage, and the funny part is this is first time actually we are displaying this unit globally. So we have just kept this exclusively for the Australian All Energy Show. So this is actually the PCS, or the way they say it, battery management unit here in Australia, which is compatible with mostly the DC batteries. It's 5 kilowatt. The capacity of the unit is 5 kilowatt, and it gives the backup, like full backup, 100% backup. So that's a pretty good thing, because I don't know many BMU units which offers backup as well.
Yes, indeed. I certainly know some of your competitors don't. So is there a battery inside this?
No, there is no battery inside this, but you can hook up any DC coupled battery
Right.
with this.
So this effectively is an AC coupled solution for
Correct.
other battery systems.
Correct.
But it's part of the AP storage solution. So AP storage now.
AP storage.
Right.
AP storage.
So it actually, when you think about it as an inverter, it's quite small. It's compact and yeah. So
True.
It's got a display on this unit as well. What's that all about?
So the display is like all about the small lighting, as you can see here, the Wi-Fi signal, the power adapter signal, the antenna signal, which like say if you are connecting say the whole ecosystem,
Yep.
then you will be able to monitor everything in an EMA Manager app,
Yes.
which is amazing. So you've got all your inverters, panel by panel monitoring, plus the battery, all in one platform.
I'm looking at the data on the wall here. So it's 5,000 VA or 5,000 watts
Yep.
of AC coupled power. You can have up to 4 battery units in parallel.
Correct.
So it's doing a DC-DC conversion
DC-DC conversion.
and then AC.
And again, to add on to that point, you can actually connect 2 of this in series. So you can actually have 40 kilowatts of battery connected,
Wow.
DC
okay.
to DC. So yeah,
So it's all part of the same monitoring solution. So
Same.
on your app, you can see your storage, you can see your generation, you can see every panel.
Correct.
Wow.
Correct. So it's all in one kind of monitoring solution. So yeah, as promised, this is the last product of our exhibition at All Energy.
Actually, I think I've seen more variety here than any of the booths I've been to. So well
I'm
done.
glad.
Well done. Thank you very much, Ravi.
Thank you so much, Glenn. Thanks for your time.
That's it.